Hey everyone.
Hello.
Have a little bit of some allergy situation, so apologies if you can't hear me, I guess. Um, or if it sounds weird. But thank you for joining us again. Don't forget to like, subscribe, share, tell your friends, tell a friend to tell a friend.
Comment, comment, comment,
Comment,
comment.
comment, comment. We do love all the comments, and actually, we're going to take some time in what has always kind of traditionally been our hot take section to talk one of the comments out. So we just really appreciate that. Even when we don't agree, it's always it's always done so respectfully, and we appreciate that. And so, yeah, we want to continue to talk about some of this stuff when we see it. So,
Yeah.
anyway, how was your week, Tanya?
It was awesome. I had my launch event in Oakland at Arroyo Park, and it was a really nice sunny day, and we had lots of people come out, and so I'm really grateful to everyone who did.
Mhm.
Um, also, those of you, I think I've mentioned this before, but I have been watching The Big Bang Theory like several times. I think this is the second run through that I've gone. And usually, the first one, you're just, trying to get to know it and, just laughing and all that other stuff. My second run through is where I'm looking at details of things and noticing other things that I missed. And that's when I really true know the show. And then I also bought a book that was written about the show, and I was reading the book,
Yeah.
and they had some backstage, secrets and how this came about and how that came about. And so and the reason why I'm mentioning it is because one of our GH actresses, Fernie Watson, has been part of the show. She throughout from the beginning to the end. She played either a nurse or a receptionist every time they've gone to the hospital,
Yeah.
no matter what it was about. And it was like she was always the nurse that was there, whether someone was pregnant or someone just went in and had an accident or whatever. She was always the same nurse. The
Hmm.
very first pilot episode, they were going in to give, samples for, sperm samples because they wanted to earn some money. And she was the nurse that was there. She was, and it was hilarious. And then I finished the episode, all of the episodes, and then I started watching Young Sheldon. And Young Sheldon's dad had to go to the doctor, and who was the nurse there? Bernice Watson. I was like, Bernie
Listen,
Watson. I was
Bernie,
like,
super check Watson, okay?
I was like, but it was funny because it was like an inside joke because she was a nurse for them when they were in the setting in Big Bang is in Los Angeles at Caltech, but Sheldon as a little boy grew up in Texas. So to find her there when he was a little boy was like a really funny inside joke. So I had, I have to give a shout out to Bernie Watson just for,
Yeah.
for that.
She's also a nurse in a show I watched called Bob Hart's Abishola.
Yes, and they talk about that, because the same producers and writers are the ones who produced that show, Bob Hart's Abisholas.
Okay. That makes
Yeah.
sense. Yeah. I recently got like back into sitcoms. It was kind of Abbott Elementary that pushed me back into because I do love a sitcom. I also like, what is the other one I was gonna bring up? Oh, I have recently just started rewatching Schitt's Creek, which is hilarious to me. I never started when I do a rewatch, it's always short. I like the first two seasons, but it took me to get through the first two seasons to actually like it. I got through them really, really slow. And then once I hit season three, I was like, oh my God, I can't believe like I only have this little bit left.
Yes.
So that it's one of those that like definitely get better with time. And not
Mm-hmm.
just get better with time, but like you start liking the characters because they were
Mm-hmm.
preferable when you start.
Mm-hmm.
So anyway, the Bob Hart's Abishola, The Neighborhood on
Mm-hmm.
CBS. Like CBS is like sitcom central.
It
Uh,
is. I think it's the one of the only, oh, I guess maybe NBC, but not as much as CBS.
right.
Um, that still likes to do live audience sitcoms. So yeah.
Hmm. Well, we love a sitcom, just like
Hmm.
we love our soap. Coming into GH, who was your
Yeah.
performer of the week?
Well, I don't think I did this before, but I do want to give a shout out to Steve Burton because I think for me, yes, he has done some emotional scenes, I guess, on him reacting to the deaths of some really pivotal characters on GH. But I really kind of I'm used to him having watery eyes and staring when he's upset and sad, right? I was like, okay, that's Steve Burton being sad. But
Mhm.
I felt really a lot of emoting when he was confronting Jagger and talking and, kind of talking about why he decided to go informant, and we can talk about that more later. But I felt the anger and the frustration, and definitely when he was talking about why he was being an informant, felt the caring for that person. And it was, I mean, I feel it was as I guess who it would be, but the why is super important. So, and I'm just, happy that he is back because of the storylines that are involved. I think, it's intriguing, the new storylines that are coming from it, not just directly from him, but that is around surrounding other characters on the show. So, just shout out to him. But my favorite scene, and my favorite scene was between Josh and Christina. I think that was the scene that had me on the tip of the edge of my seat, just like wondering who's going to say what next, and just like it was like a boxing match. I felt, and I was just really involved in it. And so I loved it all. So shout out to Eden McCoy and Kate Mancy, but also Laura Wright, who was in it, and Molly, new Molly. I still don't know her name. But
Golly,
all
God.
of them together, they play. I mean, that scene was just like riveting to me. And so, shout out to all them.
I love that I like got it framed like on my nose when I came back and my glasses were up. I'm a mess over here. It's okay. I actually don't know the new Molly's name. That's trifling.
That
That is really
is.
trifling on our behalf. It's just that is embarrassingly trifling. Oh my God. I'll look it up. I'm not gonna look it up right now. But yeah, I did. This is like an outtake because it's so
and, and
on
and
the
then the
whole
fact that we're just like, I'll look it up later, like
whatever.
like
Um,
like it's not even, yeah, that's sad. But let me look it
no,
up.
I did.
Why?
Kate Nancy is such like a seasoned soap actress. And I was like so proud of Eden, like being able to like go toe to toe with her in that scene. I was like, that's amazing. They were so funny together. The drama of it all obviously was Team Joss. We'll get into that, but I just felt like together, like they made me believe the drama between them. And it was also very, despite, it being like your dad, this and that, we have to remember that these characters have traditionally been really close. So it was very much like sisters disagreeing and going up against each other, and I really enjoyed that.
What I appreciate about Kate Mansi, and I think we talked about this before, I think maybe via text, but Kate Mansi is making us remember why Christina was annoying. And so that shows to me that, she's really taking on this character in a way that's, helps us to remember who Christina was, and with, and just making it her own at the same time. So, really shout out to Kate and doing that. The
Oh,
actress
oh,
new Molly is Kristen Vaganos.
uh,
So
we
shout
will
out to
see them.
Kristen for being great in that ensemble scene. And, shout out to Laura Wright as well, because it's interesting is that I think she kind of, agreed with a little bit with what Joss was saying, but at the same time agreed with what, Christina was saying. And so it
Right.
was hard for her because she wants to defend her daughter, but at the same time, her daughter's kind of hecka wrong right now. So but her best role in this instance was to try to get them to, calm down. But at the same time, she was supportive of Joss because she stood by Joss's side. So, that was an interesting, kind of role for Laura Wright to play as Carly. So yeah.
Yeah. The other person I would like to give a shout out, I always do, he's one of my favorites, is Hudson West, who plays
Mm,
Jake. Now, if you know me and you watch the show, you know I'm not a liaison person at all. But I am a Hudson West person and a Jake person. I
hmm
think that he is such a talent. If you've seen other things that he's been on, one of the things that always sticks out in my mind is he had like a run on Grey's Anatomy. He had an episode that will like tear your heart out. So please watch
hmm
that if you haven't. Um, and just like his ability to do this thing where you both understand and feel bad for him, and you're also like, oh, like he has given you everything that you need to understand why Jake is mad at Jason and remembering the history there. He has so many layers. He pulls back. He is really one of those to watch for me. Um yeah, so shout out to Hudson. I just think that he is an incredible talent and we're really lucky to have him as Jake and to have had him so consistently. I remember when he um acted out the scene where he was like mad at Cam around believing Jason was guilty that time before, his grief over Franco, when we had both like when Billy was still there as Drew and Jason came back and we had those scenes. Hudson has really sold that. He's just, like I said, such a talented young actor. And I'm constantly impressed by him.
Yeah, I agree. I think he really gave it to Jason on Monday. So, yeah,
Yeah,
he did a great job.
he's
I
really.
think my internet is slow. Is my
Uh,
internet slow?
you are a little bit slow of moving. Um,
Okay.
okay, it was
Okay.
slow, but we got it done.
Yes, we're back.
So, and y'all are getting all this because you know I don't know how to edit. So here we Oh, that's hilarious. Okay, let's get into the week because you brought this up. But we can really dig into it now as we find out that
Yes.
Jason, the reason he was gone is because Carly would have gotten hit with RICO charges if he wouldn't have left. I have lots of feelings about this, but want to hear from you. What do you think? How did you feel about the reveal and the reasoning?
Well, I wasn't surprised it was Carly. I felt it either had to be Sunny or Carly.
Hmm.
And given that, he and Carly did become closer when Sunny was left, and given that the reason why Carly had to do it was because Sunny left, I figured it stems from when she had to act as head of the organization when Sunny left. I figured that was the reason why. I didn't really believe that he would go informant just to protect himself, and he probably wouldn't do it for Sunny either. Um, so that didn't surprise me. The reveal didn't surprise me either. Well, it didn't surprise me that it wasn't the reveal didn't come from him because I knew he would probably keep it, to himself. And so of course it had to be, someone that didn't care so much about the why as Jagger. Jagger didn't care who he told why. So Jagger was the one who revealed it. And so that didn't surprise me.
Hmm.
I think I don't like the character of Jagger, but I think the actor is doing a good job making me hate him. so so I might give him a shout out at some point, maybe when he's on his way out. But right now I don't like him at all. So I mean he's like because I think the character of Jagger, like I said, was supposed to be a person of color. And so they just made him into now what seemingly a white dude with just
Surfer
like
boy.
surfer boy with issues, and so that's part of the reason why I don't like him. um but in any case, he lacks caring about Jason, even though supposedly Jason was somebody he was friends with before they met. um so that whole heated exchange was, something that I think helped for me give, Steven props. Um, and then the scene between him and Anna, um, I thought it was really poignant. And Anna's like, why don't you tell Carly, or why are you keeping this secret? And he just didn't answer. I mean, I think for me, it's just like, well, yeah, why are you surprised he's not telling? Because he cares about Carly. Carly will probably mess it up in some way if he did. All these reasons why. So it was almost like I understand why she asked it, but it was almost like a silly question at the same time. But it was really poignant, and hopefully it, increase the amount of empathy Anna might have for Jason if she has none for Sunny at this point. That yeah, those were the feelings that I got from that scene. I thought it was a really great scenes. But yeah, it just had me come away with Jagger being the asshole, um, Jason being kind of the anti-hero, hero more, and Anna kind of conflicted in how she feels about Jason, or what to do about Jason.
Yeah, I think that for me, it's like such a difference between like the
Mm-hmm.
performances and
Mm-hmm.
then how I feel about what the characters are doing, and then how what I
Yeah.
feel about the writing, or like the characters in general, and then what I feel about the writing.
Writing. Yeah.
And it's hard to like, because even to your point around Anna, it's like, obviously if you listen to us, I love Anna, and I was a little annoyed because it's like, I mean, I did love when she stood up on Sunny's ass. That was one of my favorite moments of the week, to be honest. But it's like, her point with him was around what he did to Cyrus, and it was like, we got to stop racketeering
Right.
because of like what personally happened with Cyrus.
Yeah.
And then she did not have that same energy for Jason, who
Mm-hmm.
would have been doing the same thing with Sunny. So it's
Mm-hmm.
like, is your point, or is the problem that he beat up Cyrus, or is the problem that you want racketeering out of the city?
Yeah,
It
because
just,
I don't think Jason would have beat him to the pulp, but Jason probably would have killed him if Sonny told him to.
or even if not, even if you
Yeah.
remove Cyrus from the equation,
Right.
they're still doing crime.
Exactly.
And Jason was still fine doing crime prior to,
Right.
leave, or like fake dying. So it was just like,
I think
I
he's still
think,
fine with it to this day. I don't think he's
right.
like, yeah, for the right
Yes.
reasons for him, crime for the right reasons is
Or
his
for
thing.
any reason, because what is the right reason? The right reason is defending their territory, right? So
Right.
it's
Or
just,
protecting their family. Yeah.
right, but that's separate. Like, that's still,
Mm-hmm.
I think that, because me included, because we like Jason, like,
Mm-hmm.
the crime or the things that he does gets excused, because it's always
Yeah.
like he only does it when it needs to be done, as
Mm-hmm.
opposed to being like, nah, he be criming,
Yeah,
he
he
does
be
crime.
criming and he deserves to be in jail and all that
Well,
other
I
stuff.
don't, hold on.
Well, not, yeah.
but like, but he commits crime, so it's not,
Mm-hmm.
I don't know. So like, that's the thing, right? If that's the performance of it, is like, it was amazingly performed. I definitely feel like Steve Burton, considering how people feel about him on Days, like Days is not fans of his character, or
Mm-hmm.
like Days fans are not. So I think he definitely came back to GH with something to prove. You know what I mean? Like, it was coming home for him, where he is
Mm-hmm.
like beloved, where people have
Mm-hmm.
never stopped asking about where he was, and have always been willing to welcome back Jason with open arms. And so instead of coming in lazy, which he could have done, he
Mm-hmm.
definitely, to me, feels like he came to work.
Mm-hmm.
Um, so like, that's the thing, that the performances I'm never gonna have a problem with, especially with Finola, because she's gonna elevate everybody around her.
Mm-hmm.
The characters, I feel like, are just, are all over the place, because the writing is all over the place. It's like they're just trying to fit things in.
Mm-hmm.
Like, Jagger is like, it's like, oh, I knew you in high school, but you didn't remember me. It's just like very confusing to me. I didn't care for that. And I am a fan of Jason and Carly's friendship. I am not
Mm-hmm.
a fan of them as a couple. And so it really took me back that there wasn't something more than just he was protecting Carly. Because,
Mm-hmm.
bro, you have kids, and so to
Oh
just be
yeah.
protecting Carly, when you were like a single man, even if you were leaving behind a partner, that is whatever, you're leaving behind your kids.
Hmm.
I just was I am hoping there is more to it. And if there is not, I'm hoping that people get the ability to react to Carly in that way. Like
Hmm.
I'm thinking about Sam. I'm thinking
Mm.
because like Drew got taken away. It's like all of these men both of these men who she has kids with, have decided that protecting Carly is more important than being fathers.
Hmm.
That's a problem, and Sam deserves to react to that.
I think the it's interesting is like the Carly Jason relationship, even if it's just about being friends, their friendship is at a whole other level than normal friendships, right?
Right.
To the point where he would do something like that for Carly, even though, like, I can even see him at some point doing it above, like, unless Carly pissed him off in some sort of way, I could see him doing something like that for Carly, even if he was married, right? It's
Yeah.
like that level of loyalty that they have, it goes beyond regular friendship and beyond regular marriages. And it is sad. And that's why Jake has every right to be pissed that it still goes above even his own children. That
Mm-hmm.
that is questionable.
Mm-hmm.
But he would do it over his own marriage, over Sonny, over anybody else. Carly comes first. Even if they're not in a romantic relationship, that relationship between him and Jason, between her and Jason, supersedes everything else. And everybody that has been in relationship with them has felt like that. And that's why Drew left. That's
Immediately.
why immediately, because he's like, I knew that I did not want to be in a three-way relationship.
Mm-hmm.
And
But it's
even
like
Sunny, yeah, even Sunny to the point.
I'm
I'm
not thinking about
surprised.
Sunny.
No, but I'm just saying, I'm surprised Sunny hasn't been. I think this is actually probably a culmination almost of how he must have felt as well in that three-way relationship.
I mean, there is a loyalty between the three of them, that has been, and I don't know, I'm not giving Sunny any grace right now, but I will say
Right.
I have no grace for Sunny right now. But I will say that I also think um this takes away some of the what I felt as like a Carly fan, like really happy about with her
Mm-hmm.
like running the mob. It was
Mm-hmm.
like, it was like, oh, she did this thing. She stepped up like a boss. And then like retroactively we're taking it away, like, no, that
Mm-hmm.
the feds have never been able to get Sunny after
Mm-hmm.
all of these years. But Carly had the mob for a few months, and all of a sudden we got RICO violations everywhere.
Right.
Like that is, I don't
Yeah.
know, I think again these are like the things that they do that that they don't think about the repercussions or like the
Mm-hmm.
reverberation of like what these things mean.
Mm-hmm.
So I wasn't a fan of it. I do hope there's an additional twist. I hope that there's something about his kids and his family,
Mm-hmm.
because like leaving behind your family for Carly is not a cute look. No matter how much I love that friendship, y'all
Mm-hmm.
grown now, y'all got whole families, and
Mm-hmm.
so when it comes to that, you have to be able to figure out how to balance all of that. And I do think that with like Carly, Sunny, and Jason, so much of the show revolves around the three of those characters. Even when Jason was off screen, it did.
Mm-hmm.
Um, that other people around them are not able to be full characters because so much revolves around them. Well,
Mm-hmm.
I mean, look at Christina. She's just a parrot of her dad. Like Michael is on screen. We saw Michael on screen once this week to talk about Jason.
Mm-hmm.
Like everything kind of revolves around them, and it's why when Jason was gone we didn't see Liz or Sam for real.
Mm-hmm.
Like despite people liking Sante, despite Sante deserving like its time in the limelight to be like developed as this like fully like this full relationship that has story, because stuff does not revolve around Jason or Carly or Sunny, people didn't really get that story. And I think that is sadly continuing with this current set of writers, and I don't like that.
I think it, I'm like beyond GH. I'm trying to think about what the other soap operas are dealing with, and I think I see a parallel in The Bold and the Beautiful. It's like it seems like everything revolves around certain characters on that
Okay.
show, and the same thing to a lesser degree, but still to a degree at Young and the Restless. Like the Newman
Okay.
family is the one where everything revolves around Newmans, and then maybe somewhat secondary, but still at the top, the Abbotts. And in The Bold and the Beautiful, it's always about, you know, the Foresters, and particularly Rick Forrester and Brooke. Brooke has slept with everybody, every male practically on the show. And so everything, even stories that shouldn't really involve her in some way.
Mm-hmm.
And so I'm wondering if that's a just kind of seems to be a general trend among soap operas now, is where they're focusing on the quote unquote most popular characters, and everybody else is kind of, you know, peripheral to that. Or, you know, is there really a great show that focuses on multiple families and multiple storylines? I think Y&R is the closest to that, but I don't know. What are you thinking about Days? Is Days kind of like that too?
Um, Days is interesting. They clearly have like their favorites.
Yeah.
Um, but I also think that, I mean, Days is kind of a mess in itself, but I think that part of the problem,
Mm-hmm.
particularly with GH and the three of these characters,
Mm-hmm.
is, and this is coming from somebody who loves Carly, like she's one of the characters that you just couldn't make me hate.
Mm-hmm.
Um, it is that people get taken out of their character to make these characters work, or
Mm-hmm.
people get sidelined, or stories like that don't make sense to make these characters work. So you think even about like a Joss, for example, what is her story that doesn't revolve around Sunny and Carly? Even her relationship revolved around Sunny and the mob, which is why
Mm-hmm.
her and Dex got the screen time.
Mm-hmm.
Again, Michael, even when his wife got pregnant, or like pregnant and like sick, their story was about like
Mm-hmm.
Carsona Rue, actually, because Drew was in it. Like so many people on this show, like if you're not kind of a part of this like nebulous of these characters, then you don't get screen time. And then if you're outside of that, your screen time is really low. Um, yeah, your screen time is really low. So it's just, I am hoping that this is just a transition period. I do think it makes for better storytelling when you have um stories that interconnect but don't necessarily like center someone. So
Mm-hmm.
like I liked, to your point, when Christina and Joss were fighting and it was about the two of them, though it was about other people, but like they were the focus.
Mm-hmm.
Carly was off. Like
Mm-hmm.
if you remember when the baby reveal was done, when we found out that Brad had like been keeping Michael's baby, that
Mm-hmm.
was Carly's baby reveal. Michael didn't even really say anything. You know what I mean? Like I was just like, okay, what's happening? Um, we got Sunny going through like scene after scene after scene. Everything's about him. So while I appreciate these characters and I understand like the amount of guarantees, for example, they have with having to be on screen, it's very easy that they could have like a scene like we saw Felicia, where
Mm-hmm.
she just says hi and bye.
Mm-hmm.
Because like, does the amount of time on screen have to always, or days on screen have to always mean that you are the main focus? Like
Are you
I don't
not?
necessarily know.
You have a lot of dialogue on that day? Like you could
Right.
be in the background and reacting. You're like, what? Wow. Okay. You know, you don't
Right.
have
And
to
that's
be
actually really
in the mix.
powerful. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah.
Just being. That's the same. Yeah. Exactly. And that's what happened with the Christine and Joss scene. I mean, Carly had one line, but she was there and she was present. So I
So
don't know. We got to read the contract so we can know.
right. I mean, that is an example of, I'm like, okay, hopefully we're seeing more of that.
Right.
Um, and we're having like a bridge period of making people sound ridiculous, and then we're
Mm-hmm.
gonna be on the other side and then get and then go.
Yeah.
Because they do have to bridge the last writers with them, but
Mm-hmm.
it's felt very rocky to me so far.
Okay.
Yeah. How did you feel about kind of the Jason and Liz, Jake? I know we talked a little bit about it, but the Jake and
Hmm.
Aiden scenes. My poor baby Aiden.
Hmm.
Jason acting like he ain't know him. Bro, what are you talking about?
Well, I mean, technically, Aiden was a little kid.
It's been
two
it's been
years.
2 years.
Well, it's been
Tell
two
him.
years. I know, but he had a growth spurt. He looked like a totally
It's all.
he's tall, and you're like, I guess that's his reaction in the sense that you like, whoa, you grew when I when I was gone. Versus that's how I took it. Versus like, I don't know who you are. It's more like, Aiden, is that you? Like you grown. In the Jason way. But man, yeah, like I said, Jason went over to the house expecting, I don't know what he was expecting, but he probably was not expecting all that anger to come from Jake. So it was, I guess it was a shock for him. But yeah, Jake is justified in, feeling very angry, very hurt, and disillusioned over why Jason chose to, and then he doesn't even know
He
it
doesn't
was
know.
about Carly.
Nobody
He just
knows.
knows that he chose something else over going back home. And he had the opportunity to. And I guess, like we had talked about last week, I was thinking, maybe he was shut up in a room or something like that. But sounds like he had every opportunity to contact, to call, send a text, or, a letter, old fashioned letter, telegram, a bird, anything. He didn't say nothing. And so, his son was understandably upset about that and he let it be
Mm-hmm.
known. And
Mm-hmm.
so, yeah, I think that's something Jason said, grateful that he's able to express his feelings. Somebody said that he had the
Jason, yeah.
ability. Yeah,
Yeah.
that at the very least, he's able to express that. So,
Mm-hmm.
and they had the best actor in doing that in Hudson West. So,
Yeah.
yeah.
Yeah. I thought I had to also remember everything that Jake has been through,
Yeah.
even in the last few years. So it was like, okay, he had Drew thinking he was Jason as his father, but Drew came into his life as like Jake Doe. But even going further back, do you remember how so Jake was on Cassadine Island.
Mm-hmm.
Lucky brought him back. And
Mm-hmm.
then when Sam came to him at the hospital, Liz was like, he thinks Lucky's his dad.
Mm.
Like that was like so they did that. Then he got close to Jake Doe, found out Jake Doe was actually his dad.
Mm-hmm.
Then
Then
come
found
to
out
find
he
out,
wasn't.
then came to find out that that wasn't his dad Jason, back from the dead slash twin. Then Drew, who he was close to, presumably dies.
Right.
Then he comes back, but he comes back when his dad presumably dies. And now his dad is back from the dead.
And even before that, even the reason why he had to come back, he was kidnapped and programmed by Helena Castledine. This
Get
little
my
boy
kid
has
in therapy.
he's already had so much therapy. And so, yeah, like he has every right to lash out and be a problem kid, but right now he seems to not be a problem kid.
Hmm.
And,
He seems to be a responsible one. He's like
he's,
stepped
yes,
up in
the
Cameron's shadow, kind of.
right. And yeah, exactly. And so, yeah, he's had a lot to go through.
I was like, I was kind of thinking about it. And I was like, damn, Jake has been through it, hasn't he? So young. He's like how Michael had been through it.
Exactly.
Like, oh my goodness.
What I
Um,
thought was, what I think might be an interesting thing is for him and Michael. I mean, Michael had a little bit of a conversation with Danny, but I think it would be really, I guess, um, a good conversation between Michael and Jake because their lives have been so similar,
mm,
because of all the trauma that they've had to deal with.
right.
And then, Jake can be like, well, why would you forgive Jason and, all this other stuff. So, yeah.
Yeah, I mean, but I also do wonder if there's going to be some jealousy there around the fact that Jason has basically been the father to Michael that he's never been to his own sons. So I think
Yeah.
that would be some interesting stuff to like really explore if they
Hmm.
allow
Yeah.
them to be the center of it as
Hmm.
opposed to it being centered on Jason. Like
That's
that's kind of
another
the
thing.
difference.
That's another layer to the Carly Jason relationship that it's a totally affects other people. Is Jason transfers those kind of feelings to Michael.
Hmm.
It's all interrelated, and so yeah.
Hmm. Even when Jason like married Carly, his kids weren't there.
Mm-hmm.
It was like Jocelyn and Michael being like, "We wish you were our dad forever." It's really trifling, actually. I also was a little sad to find out that Jason learned about Epiphany off screen.
Yeah.
Um, Mostly because I know that he really loved Sonia, like that Steve really loved Sonia, and then that relationship between Jason and Epiphany was so cute. It was like one of my
Mm-hmm.
favorite Jason like kind of offshoot relationships. Like she really adored him, and
Mm-hmm.
he like they like their hugs were so good.
Mm-hmm.
So I was a little sad to find out he found out off screen, but
Mm-hmm.
we'll see what happens from there.
Yeah.
Well, speaking of Jason, because you know who is speaking of Jason? Jagger. And he ran up on Drew and was like, "Your brother, your brother, your brother."
I actually like that interaction between Drew Lavery and Jagger. I think Drew held his own
He did.
against Jagger. He's like, I ain't got nothing to share with you, and you need to get out of my face, or else I'm gonna publicize this. So put him
Hmm.
in check. And so yeah, that's I like that. I like that, Drew. Drew Lavery.
I
Loved
did.
it.
I liked it. I liked Tanisha being, or I liked Jordan being there.
Yes.
I am sorry to report to you, but I am a Jordan and Drew shipper. Okay. They are very sparkly together. There's just some like very natural chemistry between the two of them,
Mm-hmm.
and she makes him the least annoying version of himself.
I agree, but I have to say, I think there's some interesting tension between him and Nina.
I don't want to talk. Ugh.
I I'm sorry, but there is some interesting tension between him and Nina, which may end up being, um, I think, probably an intriguing story. I hate it. I would hate to see that, but I don't know. I think it may go there. It may be a triangle that they might. I don't know,
Yeah. I
but
mean, the enemies to lovers trope is interesting between them.
hmm
There is some tension. And but I just think that him and Tanisha or him and Jordan are so sparkly together.
I think
There's
too.
just
I think
something
they
about
would.
it.
I think it would be the better choice. But
But
this
when
is
have
a
they done
soap.
that?
This is a soap, and soaps are gonna do what soaps are gonna do. So.
Well, I actually wish they would do more of that because it has not been giving in that way. I also say that part of the reason I like it is that I would love the idea of Jordan being in a pairing that is present, that
hmm
is like with somebody else who is like on contract, who
hmm
gets like a decent amount of screen time.
hmm
Um, like I just would love to see that. Like, I did love her with Zeke. That was my number one choice if they would have brought Zeke in and actually built him out as a character.
hmm
I thought they were really, really good together. Um, Zeke is obviously beautiful and clearly Tanisha is a goddess. So I would have loved that, but I do like this idea of her being with somebody who's already kind of front burner and on screen.
And it's not about Curtis.
Yes.
That's what I'm more
Well,
excited about.
it would kind of be, right? Because Curtis would have something to say.
Oh, that's right, because Drew and Curtis are friends. But it just kind of pulls her away from that whole orbit a little
Yeah.
bit. So, yeah.
Yeah. But then that's the soapy piece that you were asking for, right? Because
hmm
like, you know,
That's enough. They could have like a triangle situation going on. Like he has his own triangle, she has her own triangle. It's all triangling together.
no triangle with Curtis anymore. I'm over it. We're done here.
We're all over it,
We're
but
done here.
soap being soap.
I know. I will also say that I appreciated her or I was gonna call him Ryan Lavery, oh my god. That told Jordan that he didn't hate his brother because
Yeah, I
I
appreciated that too.
am trying to understand what is going to happen between them. um if Drew and Jason are gonna have any kind of like relationship. Um, Monica's sons need to get it together.
Yeah.
So
He just probably just doesn't want all that drama in his orbit. And he's
yeah,
trying to distance himself from Carly a little bit too. So being around Jason will probably remind him of all that. So,
for sure. For
mm-hmm.
sure. Um, so we had two family scenes this week. We had the Sante family scenes, and then we had the Spencer family scenes, if you will, at Carly's house. So let's talk about the Sante family scenes first. Dante got released from the hospital. Before that, he made a joke about mooning the nurses, which made me feel like that was ad-libbed by Dom. It was so funny. But yeah, so Sante family goes home. Um, Danny is not there, and Sam is worried and wondering where he is. Turns
Woo.
out he went to go get donuts from Eckert's, and
Mm-hmm.
yeah, we have a
She was
scene.
she was helicopter momming for real. Checking her phone. Just being like, where's Danny? What just coming to the wrong conclusions, jumping to conclusions, and just being, very quote unquote protective. And regardless, that's just the wrong attitude to have with a teenager, regardless of who she's protecting him from. Teenagers do not respond well to that kind of behavior. So, and so she was being that kind of mom. And it's funny because I don't know if she ever really wanted to be that kind of mom. But here she is being that mom right now. So I think she talked about it last time. Like she was like, I was this type of person, and here I am trying to check my child and doing the same thing. And so she's becoming that mom. Um, and I think it was interesting. Obviously, my focus was on Dom the whole time. But I think it was interesting that Dante is now feeling like he has to defend Jason. I think his relationship with Jason has been um just fraught with tension throughout the whole time because first he was competing with Jason in order to get into the organization. Then he had to deal with the fact that Jason and Sonny were closer and he was, dealing with stuff like that. And now he's having to defend this man to his wife and to Sonny at the same
Yeah,
time. So that's an interesting dynamic for him to have to play. Um, and being in the middle, but I felt like he was a very respectful husband, even though he, felt a little bit differently about the situation.
I
He
love you
let.
calling him a husband, but go ahead. Don't let me
Oh,
stop
that's
you.
right. He wasn't that. They're not even married yet. He's being a very respectful boyfriend. Um, um,
Co-parent,
co-parent,
partner.
partner, and that letting Sam take the lead in the decisions, but kind of trying to let her know that I don't think that was a good idea. So yeah, loved it. Loved the donut scenes, the mooning scene. I really think that Nurse Love was peeking around the corner. I don't think he did it directly to her, but I think she was kind of like peeking around the corner and noticing some things and appreciating it.
My
Um,
God.
you know.
That's so funny. I also it was I don't know. I mean, it always makes me feel like when is the other shoe gonna drop once we get happy scenes? But I did think that this was like something that was clearly done for the Sante fans. You know what I mean? Like this was
Yes.
like, here's the scene. Y'all have been asking to see this family together. Rocco cracked me up when he was like, "Our business is upstairs. Let's go mind it," or something like that.
Yes, I loved it. I was like, oh, I'm gonna have to write that down.
I know. But like the Rocco and Scout having this like really close relationship, like Scout
Mm,
saying "Welcome home" to Dante,
mm-hmm,
just really shows, and like it feeling really natural, even though we
mm-hmm,
don't get to see all of these people together. Just really
mm-hmm,
shows how comfortable Kelly and Dom have made those young actors to
mm-hmm,
feel like to feel that way, to like make
mm-hmm.
that family feeling so um so clear and so apparent. um I liked that Dante was like took the back seat to it. I hated the fact that it felt like I don't know what they're doing to Sam.
Mm-hmm.
And like, I mean, I think that Sam is valid in like her feelings. I think the way that she's going about it is bizarre. I'm also like, in what world can a kid just go out by themselves but not have a phone? What are we saying?
Yeah, but she took it away from him, so he was grounded.
Well,
Uh,
right, but I'm saying that
yeah.
like he is able to like go out by himself, but he doesn't have a phone. Like that's you think that's better? I don't know. I don't
I'm
parent
sorry. I coming from
young
the
leadership.
school of not having a phone growing up, so it didn't shock me at all. Like, so yeah, I had a like in my prior life, I lived a life where I did not have a cell phone, did not have anything, and I was just out and about, freewheeling in the society, and that's so it
No,
didn't shock me
that is
at
not
all.
that ain't it. I was like, I I would have been. It's like give him his phone when he goes out, and then take it when he comes in. Because like, how else
Oh,
are you gonna reach him? Especially if you're talking about danger. Especially if Jason is back and you don't know where he's been. Who knows if
yeah.
his kids are being targeted? It just was
Mm-hmm.
again like so much of that not thinking through like really important pieces of story.
Mm-hmm.
But whatever. Anyway, like the Sante family scenes, thought they were really cute. Thought they were just like very slice of life, not soapy, and done for
Mm-hmm.
Sante fans. I don't know if they are like the kind of scenes that help people gain fans, but I don't think that was the point. I think it was like done for the Sante fans.
Mm. I thought it was fun and
Yeah.
beautiful. I liked it.
Yeah. And then Spencer family scenes. I will say that part of what I liked about it is that it really had like 3 points to do. So like one, it was about Willow expressing her feelings about the crew breakup and like
Mm-hmm.
letting us know her relationship with Drew. Then two, it was about Carly and Michael like exchanging Jason information. And then
Mm-hmm.
it was also about Joss being able to like express how much she missed Dex. And so they were
Mm-hmm.
able to do all of that while also talking about Star Wars and making fun of Carly for not knowing how to cook. And I liked it.
Mm-hmm. And showcasing that apparently, yeah, yeah, missing Dex and showing her skill in the kitchen.
Hmm.
And I kept watching to see what were they making. It was just, it was a great family event with the kids, and
Hmm.
yeah, I liked it. Yeah, Michael and Carly not knowing anything, not knowing why Jason was gone, but still wanting to trust and take care of him. That's that family dynamic, you know?
Hmm.
Um, Willow, and there's also the element of, yeah, Willow also sees Carly still as the mother figure in her life. So really cares about what happens to her and her relationships, but really demonstrating that she's down to being loyal, even though she was concerned about what she was doing and the risks that she was taking. And so Carly acknowledging that was important.
Hmm.
Um,
But also that she
yeah,
cares about Drew and
yeah,
like
she
that she's
cares
not
about,
gonna
yeah,
stop caring about Drew just because Carly and Drew aren't together.
right.
Do you ever watch Bradford and Steve's podcast?
I haven't lately, but I've only watched maybe 3 times
So,
fully.
so they
Yeah.
had an episode with Caitlin who plays Willow.
Uh
And
huh.
so first there was like a scene where she was like they're always getting caught up by people's storylines.
Hmm.
And so there was a point where she was like, yeah, Willow or yeah, Nina is my mom. And Steve goes, oh, I'm so sorry about that. And then they like tried to like insinuate that there might be something going on between her and Drew. And I said, listen, Drew cannot
What?
be looking at Willow, looking
Uh-uh.
at looking at Jordan, and looking at Nina. I will say that I think part of it is Cameron Matheson just has an indiscriminate Kim
With
that he
everybody.
throws around because him and Brooke, I was like, this is why him and Brooklyn can't have scenes anymore because him and him and Amanda, I'm like, chill out, y'all are cousins. You know what I mean? Like, it's every time. So,
Hey, you know what? I can see that. I don't know. Maybe I would have, like, Nurse Love would have that kind of,
you would
attraction to,
definitely. I don't know if
yes,
it would be attraction, but you would definitely have chemistry with Cameron.
chemistry.
Yeah,
Yes.
absolutely,
Oh,
absolutely.
yeah.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. 100%. He just kind of tosses it out.
Right.
He doesn't care. And so that's why it feels like everybody's catching it.
Hmm.
Um, Also, so what I didn't find exciting, but people did, is Cody and Sasha. I said my girl didn't just quit her job to go shovel up horses. Yuck.
But I mean, it's almost similar to, her previous relationship. She's been with guys that don't necessarily have these high, you know, society jobs. Like, dude was like a motorcycle and a repairman, and then now Cody's a horse taking care. I don't know what the name of
A
it is,
horse
but
taken care
care
of.
person, a stable guy, stable man. I don't know what's the actual formal name of his. So anyway, I, that's all I can say because honestly, I did fast forward through those scenes because I just hate Cody and there's no reason for me to get into him. And even if it is Sasha, sorry, I didn't.
But see, okay, here's the thing about I remember when Laura Wright was on Mo's podcast, talking about the
Mhm.
podcast again, and she was like talking about people fast forwarding. And we still make fun of her, like joke about it and laugh about it. But I think part of her point, which is true,
It is true.
is that we go in like liking people or not liking people, and then we don't get an opportunity to actually let stories play out because we fast forward them. So I'm not saying that you're like Sodi, because I don't, but when we fast forward things, and I think this happens with a lot of fandoms, because people will like watch their faves on clips. This is not just about you. Watch their
Hmm.
faves on clips or not watch the like full context of the show, and so then they like have a view of the show that is not complete.
Full, yeah.
And they like will say that they dislike something, but like how do you dislike, like you didn't say you disliked it, you like I didn't watch it, but which is fair, but people will say this isn't popular or I don't like this or nobody likes this and make these like big declarations after they fast forward it and they don't actually know what's happening. So I think I appreciate you saying that you fast forwarded it because you're like, oh yeah, I watched that.
And
But
then,
I
but
do
the
wonder
hair,
if you would feel differently if you saw it. I don't feel
I
differently.
might have, but here's the thing. I sometimes I fast forward stuff because I prefer to pay attention to a particular story because I'm more drawn into a particular story. And unfortunately, they mix them in with the story I'd rather read about. So I'll just like fast forward it. And in my mind, I'm like, okay, I'll go back and watch this later, especially for Sunday Chef. But then I get so busy, I don't have the time. And so then I'm just like, okay, whatever. But because I don't care about Cody as a character, that's the reason why I'm willing to go ahead and fast forward him. But unfortunately, Sasha is, in that mix. And it's not even just about Cody, who I don't like. I do like Chase and Brooklyn. Sometimes I fast forward their scenes as well because I'm just more compelled by another story, and I really want to watch that other story.
Hmm.
But I do like Chase and Brooklyn. I think Cody, Sasha, Maxie, and Spinelli scenes are great scenes to watch, and I'll probably make a point to watch those because I do
Hmm.
think as an ensemble they are all great together. Those four as a couple and couple.
Hmm.
But they weren't Maxie and Spinelli, which I missed that they weren't really featured this week.
Yeah.
And so, unfortunately, they caught the fallout of my lack of interest. But I'm happy for Sasha being happy. I'm glad that she's not involved in something where her whole world is shattered and she's emotionally, attacked and
Hmm.
all that. So I am happy for her, but I'm just unfortunately other storylines, retained my interest.
No, no, no. I get that. I get that. Um,
But you're
I,
right, it's
I,
two.
yeah. I'm just in general. It just made me
Yeah.
think, and not necessarily about you, because like you're really
Yeah.
like you're like, oh yeah, I watched that. But I think that there's like a lot of like conversations. People are like, oh, I didn't like this, or I don't like this person.
Yeah.
But if we don't watch their stories, like we
Yeah.
don't get an
I
opportunity to,
yeah.
because
I'm
how
not
would
gonna judge. I mean, I'm not gonna judge that story or their acting because I didn't see it and I can't give that proper
yeah.
context.
What I don't like about the story, I think that they have good chemistry. I think that Sophia brings the best out of her scene partners. Um, I think that what you don't watch is that they keep having the same conversation over and over. It's like, oh, I'm just not ready to be with you. Oh, I'll wait. And it's like some version of that every time we see them on screen, but we also don't see them a lot. So like to have a scene where you say that on a Monday and then I don't see you again till the next Thursday, it's like I already as a person who naturally isn't interested is really not interested when I have to hear y'all talk about the same thing over and over.
But on the previews of the show, because on my TV, when I click onto the show, they give a little synopsis of what's supposed to happen. I thought one day they were supposed to declare their feelings for one another. Did that happen?
Yeah,
Did I
but
miss it?
it was still like we can't be together or thank you for
Oh,
waiting for me. I'm not ready yet.
what's the point?
I know. It's I don't know. Like I said, again, I think that they are cute. Um I they just gotta do some more to make me interested. And it's wild to me that like because I'm also like Sasha ain't got no money. So
She did say she got a check. So I guess that's holding her through the month, but she still needs to find a permanent job, right?
yeah.
Yeah.
And it's not going and like shoveling horse manure at the Quartermains. And then the other thing you probably missed is that Olivia was like, "Will you cook dinner for Dante and Sam?" And then she like the thing that Olivia had told her that was like already prepped, like wasn't prepped, so she had to make something different. I'm like, so Sasha's over here like for real being put to work at the Quartermains? That's her story now? Yikes! I literally wrote, not they got her cooking.
Right.
Like, this is the story. First of all, and then they got her in the kitchen fresh with the horse manure clothes.
Oh
Gross.
yeah, the orange overalls that she was wearing. Those are
Yeah.
cute overalls. I like overalls, but that's not her.
I mean, it was cute, but it was also like the same overalls that you was wearing with the horses. It's the same overalls you was wearing in the
In the
kitchen.
kitchen? Oh. Oh. No. I would have
Not one
changed.
shower?
Yeah.
Yuck. Anyway, that's just a logistic thing that I'm sure the show isn't worried about, but I was certainly worried about. Like um you brought it up, Drew and Nina.
No, I mean it Nina was her annoying, self-absorbed, selfish, petty self. But Drew was giving it to her back and it just seemed like I'm saying, you know, giving all the Kim and all the women are responding to it. And basically, even if it's antagonistic, I think Nita couldn't help herself. I have a feeling that once she gets over Sunny, she's gonna focus on Drew.
She's gonna try to get under Drew.
Right.
Ugh.
Especially since he was somebody that Carly had. Her motivation is always about whatever Carly. I think she would find it fitting that she would walk around in Drew's arm now that Carly doesn't have him.
I just wanted to pause and discuss, but I didn't want y'all to think something was wrong with the show,
Okay.
like with the audio. I just really wanted to just pause there for a second and discuss, but I guess I'll keep talking. Um, so okay, here's my thing. Now, y'all know how I feel about Nina, and I actually feel like I haven't dragged her a lot in the last few weeks because she's just been so pathetic. What was the purpose of me dragging her? But I truly feel like she doesn't understand what it means to be a part of a family in like lots of ways. So
Mhm.
one, her just being like, I was finally part of a family and da 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 da. But you have always been Nina was a made up character in 2013 and has is truly one of the most supported and connected people on the show. What do you mean you didn't have a family when you got Maxie and James and Britt? Well, Britt before she died in Liesel. What do you mean you don't have support when you had Curtis? When you have like literally people like you have? I mean, who knows what's going on with Ava now? But like you had Ava, you could always. Charlotte adores you. You were in like this idea that she didn't have anybody is not true, and it never has been true. And even Max was like, yeah, I didn't really agree with what she had to do, what she did, but but. I love her.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
Same thing with Sasha. You have so much support. So like they can make her say anything they want to make her say. It does not make it true. In the same regard, you know, listen, if my mom does some illegal stuff, I don't care what it is, and you turn my mama in, you're my op. It
Yeah.
actually doesn't matter to be like, she's like, they committed a crime. Who cares? Because it's not like you're some kind of virtuous crime seeking. Like, that's not who you are. You were married to Sonny. How much
Mm-hmm.
crime has your family committed that you haven't like turned anybody in for?
Mm-hmm.
Like, you don't care about crime. So she doesn't have like some kind of strong moral compass. You were petty. And that's fine. I actually thought it was funny that you were being petty. The problem is that you went back on it. Was like, oh my God, why are people mad at me? Why do you think people are mad at you? It doesn't matter if it was illegal or not. It doesn't matter if what you did was illegal or legal or whatever. You turned my people in. You are my op. This is not hard to understand. And again, even if they have her repeating how much they committed a crime, she turned them in, it doesn't change the fact that and so I feel like sometimes when I hear people like parrot that, or like I see people parrot that, I'm like, you actually know better. I can't engage in conversation with you because you know if somebody turned in your mom and them, they would also be your op. What are we saying? I don't know. It's frustrating to me. That part of like her is frustrating to me. If if Drew and Nina are going to be in scenes together, let it not be about Carly, please. Let them talk about other stuff.
It's always going to be that
Ugh,
because that's her focus is always going to be about how come Carly did this, Carly did that. She took this and she did that. That's always going to be Nina. And that's always going to be her motivation to do anything. Which is sad because she used to be about her brother, Nathan. She used to be, about other things. And, I think that's the whole point of what Maxie was saying, I think, is that she needs to get her life back together and stop focusing on Sunny because Sunny is over. A lot of people, like some people, were mad at Maxie for saying that to Nina, but that needed to be said, and
I loved it.
hopefully, I loved it too. But it's the truth.
Maxie was in her bag this week, by the
Yes,
way. She was
yes,
amazing. Since we're
yes.
talking, let's like to keep the through line of deception, and then we can get back to the Maxie Nina conversation.
Uh
So
huh.
obviously, deception. Sasha's not there. Blaze comes on as the face of deception. But her mama, Maria Santos, like homophobe Maria Santos, comes
Homophobe
in,
Maria Fenton.
comes in, and she is
Also,
like,
helicopter mom.
oh God. But I will say she wasn't wrong about she shouldn't be like hawking products on like Home and Heart. But this whole
Mm-hmm.
like, let's keep her life private. Like, girl, please. This is 2024.
Mm-hmm.
Somebody gonna see you with somebody. Matter of fact, Jake and Danny were not told not to tell anybody. So if I'm Danny, I'm posting up that what is
Mm-hmm.
Christina? My auntie is dating Blaze.
Right.
Like, what do you mean? Like keeping things private? People go see them together. So, but anyway, I did agree that like Blaze shouldn't be doing like the Home Shopping Network.
Mm.
I was like, yeah, that makes sense. Yeah,
But I think Blaze being a mama's kid, I'm not really excited about that for her. Being able to assert yourself and make your own decisions and make sure mama knows that is, important to being an adult, and she's not displaying that, and I think that's not something that Christina needs in a relationship and a partner. And I think that's going to be a problem for them, even though we'll talk about Christina later, but I just did not like seeing her being kind of subservient to her mom in that way. But even if her mom was right in certain circumstances. I just did not like that. She like every decision she was looking at her mom for approval.
Yeah.
And I was just like, girl, you too old for that. So I didn't I'm glad that she has a story and has a dynamic there, but I did not like that for her character.
Yeah, it wasn't good. Um, I was interested like when she asked like why Sasha wasn't there. I'm like, why didn't Lucy just say she's going a different direction in her life? Why did she have to do this whole not edgy? Did it? I'm like, what are we doing? Lucy, girl,
You ain't got to tell all that business.
like chill out. But
Hmm.
I will also say so when Maxie goes to introduce Blaze to Nina,
Hmm.
Nina first is like, well, why did Sasha leave or whatever? Oh, Nina,
You know you don't care.
you don't care, but also why don't you know? You're
Right.
always whining about not having family, not having this, not having that. How did you not have dinner or lunch with Sasha already? What are we talking
Hmm.
about?
How did you not like Sasha didn't come to you and be like, "Hey, I have a new job now, or I decided to quit
She
and
doesn't
blah
have
blah
a new
blah.
job.
I have a new job working in
The stable.
the stables, and oh, by the way, I quit deception." That kind of thing. You supposed to be her surrogate mom and well, all that good stuff, and you don't know this about your, Sasha, the one
Yeah,
that you
it
care
was
about. That's
yeah.
weird.
But also like the very awkwardness of her being like, "Oh yes, you know Christina, right? We met you at Puerto Rico at me and Sunny's wedding." And then for Blaze like to not know that Nina wasn't with Sunny anymore. Like, what are y'all what is going on here? It was so weird. Why did Nina think that Blaze was even there at the resort? It was so clear that Blaze and Christina knew each other. What do you mean do y'all know each other? What's happening here?
I don't, and again, that could be either writers not connecting or Nina just being totally oblivious to everybody, which is
For
also
real.
totally in her character. So it's like maybe the writers are connecting. I don't know. It's just, but yeah, we don't know what it is.
I did not go back to watch the Sona wedding scene, so I don't know what happened. But I would
Mm-hmm.
imagine that like Sunny's island is private, or
Mm-hmm.
his part was private. So if Blaze was there, she was there to see someone. That's
Mm-hmm.
someone being Christina. Like, what are you? It was very dumb. Then the conversation with Blaze and Christina later around like she was like, "Sorry, I didn't tell you." I was like, I definitely thought the bigger issue was you acting like you ain't know her.
Mm-hmm.
Like you walking in the room and not even saying hi felt like the way bigger issue than
Yeah. And then, oh yeah. Because at first I was like, why is Christina being so salty? But then I was like, oh yeah, this whole thing of them not being together again, just kind of just like weird.
yeah, I felt like that was strange. I felt like things happen in this business all the time, so whether or not she told you about being the face of deception really felt minimal.
Yeah,
She would have told you eventually.
because it
You know
just
what I mean?
happened. It just happened that day. So why are you
Right.
being salty about it?
Yeah. You know, it's like you didn't. So you mad she didn't tell you she was the face of deception, but she not mad that you didn't tell her that your daddy and your stepmom was getting divorced. I don't. Whatever. I like Craze. I will say I think they have great chemistry. And I'm gonna stick beside them. Um, but they're gonna have to do a little bit something better than that. um, also with Natalia, aka evil or homophobe Maria Santos. I really appreciated her being late to the deception meeting, but then also being mad at Brooklyn for being late to their meeting. She's besties with Sunny, so it's like she's like, I can forgive racketeering, but I cannot forgive homophobe. Like I cannot, I cannot forgive being gay.
Right.
Okay, Saint Maria of Wildwind, you're doing
I one of my hot takes was like shout out to Maria Santos taking her whiskey with no with no ice, just
she
straight up
said
straight.
Maria Santos said, "Ain't no Riesling girly, okay? Brown
Right?
liquor."
Look at I was like, I like that. I'm that I'm that way, except I can only handle one.
Funny. Um, Also here we got Lois not trusting homophobe Maria
Maria said,
Santos.
yeah, I can see a helicopter, mom, a mile away. Girl, you were right.
She was not with it. She was looking
Uh-huh.
like, who is this woman? With
Hmm.
Sunny.
Right? Protective.
She did not like it. I thought it was funny, but she definitely did not like it. And then we also now have these issues with Chase and Brooklyn's wedding. Um, I like Chase and Brooklyn. Let them do their thing. Um, I do not feel like money being I don't I would if the issue is that Chase is going to surprise Brooklyn and she's gonna be like over the moon, I'd be happy with that. If it now becomes an issue that we have to talk about him being broke and her not being, I'm not interested in that.
I'm actually over the whole wedding thing. I need them to hurry up and get married. Because I'm just like, there's a couple of like really fun scenes where they're talking about really poignant scenes, talking about the wedding dress from Lila. Um, but other than that, I'm over kind of the planning of the wedding. I need the wedding to happen. Or just don't talk about it again until it happens. But yeah.
Hmm. Um, Jex and then Joss versus Christina. So obviously Joss finds out that Dex is applying for the police force. She is upset about it. Um, she tells Carly about it. She is then like worried that Sunny will like have Dex killed, and Christina is also there and overhears it, and they fight. So let's talk about the jets of it all first. Um, I really laughed at Jocelyn like snatching that boy's paper. We all not together.
All of it is business.
I loved it.
No, first of all, I love the burnt grilled cheese.
The burnt grilled cheese and like the bite he did of it, like you might have
He's
burnt it, but
like,
I'm gonna eat it anyway.
and this is delicious. Thank you for bringing
Thank
my
you.
grilled cheese.
I thought that was really funny. Um, I I do hope they get back together. I think they're cute together. Yeah, I think they're cute together.
Yes.
But Christina and Joss.
Woo! I was like, dang, Christina's being a today. And I was just like, and then when they started fighting, I was like, ooh, just lobbing him on here, left, right, left. I was just like, I was enthralled. I loved it.
So I was like, Christina has no points here.
She
Like,
doesn't. It's like, and then also it's like folks are getting mad because Christina's pregnant. Christina started it. She's the one who walked across the room and tried to get in the middle of a conversation that wasn't with her. And she was like, your voices carry. The voices didn't really carry that much.
but also like Christina is like people be arguing when they pregnant. What are y'all talking about? Christina is fine.
Right.
It's not
It's
even
not
like
like
she
Jocelyn
grabbed.
pushed her or anything to the ground.
She was just talking crazy to her.
Right.
It was, but it- like even the content of the fight. So yeah, Joss was loud and she should have kept her voice down. 100%. You're in a place of business, girl. Curtis already done told you this is a place of business. Um, but this whole idea that she should be grateful to Sunny for anything is wild. Even when it's like, I think that people in general forget that Joss would have been absolutely fine without Sunny. She would have been rich. She would have had access to everything she needed. So she was like, you have bodyguards. Why did she need bodyguards? The daughter of Jasper Jacks wouldn't have needed bodyguards. That is like as a result of being close to Sunny. so the bodyguard is actually not like some thank you stepdad for, getting me guarded. That's not what that looks like. Um, oh, he had cabins, he had this, he had that. She was a teenager, and then she stopped messing with him. It was just like very weird behavior. Um, this she was like allegedly, Christina, what are you talking about? It was she had 0 points to me. The only thing that I thought that shouldn't have happened was like being loud like that, and then Jocelyn screaming about that girl daddy being a murderer in the middle of a restaurant. Because if I'm trying to have a milkshake at Kelly's, or I'm sorry, Bobby's, and I hear that, I'm leaving. I'll put a pay
You're like
online or
murder?
something. Murder.
No,
I'm out of here.
no,
Gotta go.
I would have been sipping on my milkshake, been like, like, girl, did you see what he's?
No, I'd have been gone. I'm out of here.
I would have been like some of those background extra characters that we used to laugh about over the summer that just be all up in there and be like, ooh, what they talking about? I remember that meme of that one lady. I think it was a press interview, and then her head just pops up and just be like looking. That was hilarious. That would have
Yeah.
been me.
But it was
Nurse
just like
Love.
too much. It was just like too much drama at the Bobbies. The Bobbies. It was too much drama it was too
The
much drama at the
Bobbies.
Bobbies. I said, no, girl, you're doing too much. I didn't feel like she did anything wrong when it came to Christina. I felt like she did
No.
everything wrong when it came to customer service.
Oh yeah, customer service was horrible that day. But with Jax, with everybody. But yeah,
Any other
it's a
stories about
family
it?
establishment. It's a family establishment. So that's what if you're a customer of Bobby's, the Bobbies, then you need to come to expect full on drama happening in that. Especially now that Carly owns it.
You're like, oh yeah, Carly owned this. Dramatic.
Dramatic.
Well, also at the Bobbies, as we have talked about, Curtis is walking. Got a standing ovation for walking. Um, I will say I typically am not a fan because I'm still bitter about Curtis and
Mhm.
Trina. But I liked their scene. I thought it was good.
Yeah, I mean, Curtis is a decent dad. I have to give him that. But
Yeah,
he ain't Trina's dad. As far as I'm concerned. But he's a good uncle friend.
yeah,
Yeah.
absolutely.
The
Uncle Curtis.
right. Uncle Curtis.
Yeah.
He should stay that way. But it is what it is. And yes, walking after not walking is tough and deserves a standing ovation. So congratulations. But we saw the writing on the wall. We knew he wasn't going to be without his legs for long. And so I wasn't like, oh my God, this is such a momentous moment. No, it wasn't because we knew it was going to be temporary. So fortunately, yay, Curtis, but meh.
I also laughed, and I know that we're gonna talk a little bit more about do like a little longer talk about Trina, kind of in our hot take section. But one
Uh-huh.
of the things I laughed at is like about Joss like sweating her about the roommate thing. I'm like, girl, just pay for the room. You're rich. It's fine. You don't need a roommate.
Right.
Pay it out. Like I know that they're doing it so that they have like a talking point or like something for her like to ask.
Mm-hmm.
It don't matter, Josh. Just pay for the room and she can come back when she want to. Who cares?
Yeah.
It's fine. Don't worry about it. um Anyway, Gregory wants privacy about his healthcare. Understood.
Yeah, I don't blame him.
I don't blame him. I do. I mean, whatever. I don't really have much to say about the ALS story. You know how I feel about it. So
I mean, I'm hearing rumors that he actually might die this month. Is that true?
I don't know. I
Okay.
haven't heard those rumors, but
I just somebody tweeted like with Jeffrey dying this month, blah blah blah. I was like, oh, is he gonna
I don't know.
die?
I haven't like I don't know that. Yeah. Well, anything to get this ALS story out of off of my screen, whatever they want to do, I don't care.
Right.
Like that is like the thing that is hard for me um to not fast forward, to be quite honest. Um we got Tracy and Stella, our new besties.
I enjoyed those scenes.
I did. I enjoyed that. I enjoyed the scenes with Tracy and Terry as well.
Mm-hmm.
And then for them to be like talking about her depression or her having some
Mm-hmm.
depression. I
Mm-hmm.
just felt like Terry was so like like she was such like a warm, empathetic, like I don't know. I really, really loved Terry in those scenes. And then to
Mm-hmm.
go right into the Stella Tracy bestie scenes. As we said, Vernie is like a legend. Obviously, Jane
Mm-hmm.
Elliott, legend. Let's
Mm-hmm.
legend it up on our screens together. I could watch them forever.
I want to see them playing.
Absolutely.
I do. And drinking
Absolutely.
and smoking cigars, even though smoking is very hazardous to the health. But I think it would be appropriate. Either that or drinking hard liquor. I want to see it.
um, I think uh so Heather Redemption. So I think Allie Mills is extremely talented. I understand why somebody would want to keep her around. I'm not interested in Heather being redeemed.
And some folks did not appreciate how Portia came at. Actually, I want to give a shout out to the actors.
Brooke,
That was some really Brooke. That was some scenes.
yeah, I thought she was
Really
amazing.
great, amazing scenes. And I felt she was very, right to have those feelings about, Heather trying to, and then the mayor and all of them, how she clapped back at Alexis. That was just like,
Hmm.
she was like, I don't care. I will fight you with every breath.
Hmm.
Especially you, Alexis. You ain't even got a law license. I was like,
Reader, reader.
right? So, yeah, that was good. I liked it.
Well,
Fierce.
here's the thing about me. I support Portia's rights and I support Portia's wrongs, and she wasn't wrong.
She was not wrong.
Um, I think of lots of things to think about this.
Hmm.
So I think the show does the character of Portia no favors because they don't give her a lot of soft moments. And I don't mean soft as in like whatever, but I do mean in like I think that maybe that was the balance they were trying to do earlier in the week with like the scene with Curtis, but I personally
Hmm.
don't care about Curtis. I don't think a lot of people do care about that storyline. I don't know.
Hmm.
I can't speak to what other people care about. Um, but even like the relationship, like Curtis is getting the relationship with Trina. Curtis is getting helping Trina through her grief, not Portia. So like we have this like disconnect between what we see of Portia on screen.
Hmm. She's
And
now, I mean, all we're seeing of her is being the angry mother or the angry hospital person. Yeah.
and I think she has every right. And so, she comes in and it was wild that Kevin even thought to have that conversation out loud as if Heather was not serial killing. It was wild to ask Portia what she thought, especially for it to come from Laura. Laura is such an iconic character that the fact that they continue to like I don't know, try to redeem everybody on her back is very annoying. And it is not good for her character, especially people who don't know how iconic she is. Because if you just started watching, you only know her as this person who be with some bullshit. So them coming to Portia was wild. And her like and having the conversation in the hallway so she could hear it was wild.
Hmm.
Um I was really mad this week because like one of the like GH kind of official fan club pages had posted something about Portia being unhinged. And I got in them comments, and this was on Instagram. I got in them comments and I was like, absolutely not. First of all, we're not calling her unhinged. That's not what we're doing. And in the other breath of that, let's talk about what Heather has done to just her family. Heather tried to kill Trina. She was serial killing people around Trina. Like the whole point of like the hook was getting people who were close to Trina.
Mm-hmm.
Like Brando got killed because they thought because she was trying to get Joss. Britt
Mm-hmm.
got killed because she was trying to get Joss. Rory got killed. Like I guess they were trying to get the other dude. I don't know, but he got killed. Like this was a serial killer that was like centered around Trina, who then is the mother of Esme, who terrorized and tried to kill Trina, who has done all of these horrible things to Portia's family. And then step two, part B, is that Laura, her family has done nothing but cause Trina harm. Or like people who were connected to her, who Portia has then seen her try to flip around. Cyrus, Esme, these are people who have been like basically vouched for by Laura. I guess
Mm-hmm.
less so Cyrus, but kind of
Mm-hmm.
have been like vouched for by Laura, who have caused Portia's family harm. So why would she
Mm-hmm.
trust your assessment that you came out of this room and was like, oh, Heather seems nice after she's serial killed. Maybe we can give her a chance. Portia yelling about that makes perfect sense because why would you walk up on her with that as if she didn't, without considering the harm that this woman has done to her?
Mm-hmm. And Kevin should know better because he tried to redeem Ryan. Did that work? No. So, sir, why do you think you have the right judgment to think about Heather in the same way,
Right.
in a different way? Yeah, you don't.
Right. It was wild. So I thought Portia was great. I thought it was an amazing performance by her, by Brooke Hare
Her. Yeah.
in that scene.
Mm-hmm.
And yeah, she was not unhinged. She was very, very
Mm-mm.
hinged, actually.
Mm-hmm.
And I loved it. So shout
And
out.
like I said, not just her family, but her hospital staff.
Right,
Heather was not a easy patient
right,
at all.
exactly. So anyhow, um, yeah, that's all. That's it for the week.
Oh, did
Um,
you still want to talk about Trina?
yeah. That's it for like the
The
synopsis
week.
of the week.
Yeah.
But there was a scene, not a scene, a comment that was like left on on our Instagram and on YouTube. So we've seen it in a bunch of different places from folks who talk about the Joss and Trina friendship being really one-sided. And I'm like a person who actually really likes Joss and Trina, so I know that I might be someone who doesn't see it that way. But I did want to like dig into that conversation. Um, I will say this and preface this, and then pass it to Tanya just to see what you think. So as I have been watching like Cowboy Carter reactions all week, like just to see what people have to say, and I don't watch people who don't like um Beyonce or who don't like the album. I really do go for the joy of seeing people experience it. And I bring that up because I know that people like what they like and they listen to like podcasts and people like that to like go and hear the like joy of people experiencing the thing that they like. So I'm gonna be critical of writing. I'm gonna be critical of Sprina. I'm gonna be critical of a bunch of different things. So if that's not for you, that's fine. We still love you. Maybe just fast forward that part. No shade to Laura Wright. Maybe just fast forward that part. Because I do want to dig in and actually be critical, but I want to be clear that I understand that people come and like you listen to people who watch the same things as you because you want to hear like their joy or their takes. And it's also like you don't always want to hear people who hate what you or not hate. I don't hate, but who are critical of the things that you like. So I will pause there. Um, Tanya, what is your take on this like idea that Trina and Joss's friendship is one-sided?
One sided in the sense that like Trina's only there to support Joss.
Yeah.
Well, the writing seems to lend itself that way, and it shouldn't.
Mhm.
I think that I think there was somewhat of an attempt but not I don't think a sustained attempt to for Joss to be more supportive of Trina. I think she was talking to Stella about it. Like she doesn't know how to be a good friend to Trina right now. Um, just briefly. But I think, on the writer's end, I think they could have done a little bit more to have Trina's grief be more out there, be more of a story. Like there could have been some conversations, more conversations, I think. But like you had said, I mean, almost everything revolves around Sunny, Carly, and Jason. And so Joss's whole world revolves around Sunny, Carly, and Jason. And so it doesn't lend them having any other kind of reactions unless it's about that or me and then Trina's grief. I think but I think Trina came in the very beginning kind of as a sidekick to Jocelyn, and then she grew more in story when we had the previous actress and now with Tabiana Ali, um, because of the storyline with Spencer. I think the critique is always that we think the writer should do more for Trina and make her more well rounded. Whether it's, focusing more on, what she wants to do with her life in terms of art or giving her other friends or having her actually be in storylines about something that's super important, like her dad and her other dad and her missing dad. I mean, there are other storylines that we could be writing for Trina to make her more well-rounded, so it doesn't seem like somewhat of a side chick or sidekick type thing. But because of the writer's different focus on other things outside of Trina, it makes it seem that way, unfortunately.
Mhm,
There's more opportunities. There's so much more opportunities that they could do for Trina.
mhm.
But I can see why, because of how the writers write it and how the show is focused, it makes it seem like Trina is not as important a character as she should be.
Yeah, I appreciate that because
Mm-hmm.
I received that and I was like listening to all of that. And it actually flips some of the way what I was gonna say
Mm-hmm.
because I actually don't see Trina as like I don't see Joss's relationship with Trina as being one-sided. And I think that what you laid out can be true.
Mm-hmm.
Like Jocelyn is not the reason that Trina is sidelined. Like Jocelyn is not the reason that Trina doesn't have story.
Right.
And so for me, I think that those are two separate issues because when I look at their friendship, I don't see it as being one-sided. I see them as being like very supportive of each other. I think when we look at like the history of their relationship, obviously Trina came in as this like sidekick character that
Right.
Sydney like broke out of that. But
Mm-hmm.
part of that goes back to what I talk about all the time when it comes to like holistic looks of Black families.
Mm-hmm.
Trina can't have good story if she doesn't have a family with good stories. Even
Right.
when we talked about at the top where we were like Carly, Jason, Sunny, and when you talked about other soaps, you started talking about families. You were like the Abbotts, the Newmans, the whatever. You didn't even just say one Abbott or one Newman. You said like their families are the core. And so because they have like erased core Black families from the show, like Trina had to be introduced as a friend of a legacy character because if she wasn't, who would like they would have had to then attach her to a Ward or a Hardy, and then she would have come in as other like a bigger character in another way. So I think that there has been time when they have like essentially quote sidekicked her, but that hasn't just been to Jocelyn. That has been to other legacy characters as well. That's been to Cameron. And here's my critique of Sprina. It's been to Sprina. Um, she didn't what has her story been outside of the relationship with Spencer?
Well,
So
that it was prior to Spencer. It was about her dad,
in
you know,
art, in
in
art,
art. Right.
yeah, like she was all of that, but that really was like taken and like pared back in order for her to for everything to be around this relationship. And I don't necessarily think that it's wrong to have a lot around her relationship. That's like how you build out a relationship on the show and show that a show is invested. But here's what I will say. If Trina was presumed dead, we would still see Spencer on screen. And that doesn't have anything to do with Jocelyn. That's my point. And I think that we can be critical and say, like that Trina should have more, but I don't
Mm-hmm.
think it's like I personally don't think it's in competition with the only other young woman in her age group. Again,
Right.
this is also probably maybe very one-sided of me because I know that I'm a fan of Jocelyn as well.
Mm-hmm.
But it was also why I was critical of Sprina. I specifically remember, and this is why it like really checked me to like try to be more positive about the show. When Sprina went to New York for their getaway, I remember like coming on and saying, I didn't like that he essentially told her to put her homework to the side. Because why? This is like he as a character didn't really have much going on. And then to then tell his like young black woman like girlfriend to be like, yo, school don't matter. It actually does matter for her because she's not rich like you. And so I mentioned that, and people were in the comments like, you just like, I was like really excited to hear y'all talk about Sprina, and then like the first thing you said was negative. And I hear that again, 100%. When I listen to a review of an album or something I like, I don't come on to hear people, like be particularly critical of it, even though for us, I don't think our role, look, I'm never going to stop being critical of things. I don't think our role is to not be critical, but I understand why somebody would feel that way. That's why I wanted to say, like, I think a lot of the Springer relationship was sideline Trina, and I think right now why we don't see Trina is because they are trying to figure out what to do with her and Spencer. So when Nicholas first left, there was like up in the air. They talked about it as if he was coming right back. So it's like, do you have a long mourning period for somebody is like who's like mourning a character or grieving a character who's coming right back? Or do you kind of like have them off screen and then bring them back forward when this character is coming back? Problem with that is that Trina has been, especially Tabiana's Trina, has been so tied to Spencer and to Sprina that she actually needs to be focused on when he's gone to like get her story on the other side. And so, yeah, it makes sense. Of course, like when you're grieving, it's very realistic to say, oh, I'm going to pause on school, I'm going to pause on this, I'm going to pause on that. But her as a character, this needed to be this needed to be a time and still needs to be a time where she steps into being empowered because they had taken so much of that away from her when it came to this relationship with Spencer. When it came to telling the story of Sprina, they did not tell a Trina story, they told a Sprina story. And so now, with him not on screen, they needed a chance to reestablish her as her own character before reuniting either Sprina if they recast or somebody else if they bring in somebody else for her. And so that's how I feel. So I agree with everything you laid out, Tanya, 100% about like the ways that her story could be told better. But I personally just don't see it as like the reason it isn't is because of Jocelyn, if that makes sense.
I agree.
What do you think about why do you think that we're not getting this Taggart story?
I don't know. And maybe because they spent so much to take care to bring in bring Jason back. I don't know because they do have to make financial choices,
Mm,
and maybe they decided to put all the resources into bringing Steve Burton back versus what like could be doing. I don't know. Maybe they're saving some salary for a new Spencer. I don't know what their choices are. It seemed like for a minute that Riel Andrews was hinting that he might be coming back,
mm.
but that hasn't happened. So I'm like, I don't know what's going on with that. But it's not. making me happy.
Yeah, I mean, for me, it's not just that he hasn't been on screen, it's that he hasn't been talked about. It is as if this character has forgotten him. And that is another part of what is wrong with how they write Trina. They take away her past from her when she moves into something else. So it's really clear, obviously, like, and we've talked a little bit about it, that like Rory wasn't the love of her life. Like clearly, she wasn't even in love with him. When he said he loved her, she looked panicked. She was like, "What is this?" Like that obviously wasn't that. But he wasn't somebody that she didn't like. He was just somebody she didn't love. She didn't love, and then he was killed right before she could break up with him. And again, it wasn't I'm breaking up with you because like you did me dirty or whatever. It was I'm actually in love with this other person. I have been for a very long time, and like I'm not in love with you. And so that's fine. But in that same respect, that should still mean that not in the way that she needs to grieve Spencer, but like we saw her with maybe one scene of being kind of sad about Rory. And she's not mentioned him. It hasn't reverberated into other story. Heather killed him. It's never even been mentioned that like this was an issue. It was like instantly, okay, now we're telling the Sprina story, which I think is fair. Like nobody really wanted to wait for Sprina. Like people, it had been too long anyway. They had slow walked that character that story with them anyway. But you don't have to take away Trina's past to like have that be the story. In the same way that whatever, if you want her to have this relationship with Curtis, I don't have to like it, but that's a story that you're telling. It doesn't mean that we never hear her talk about her dad. That it's like, oh, he went out of town to visit my aunt Gia, but he's not getting back to me. You're telling me that Trina almost died on a boat and we haven't heard anything about her dad? So like for me, when I think that's what like brings my antennas up when it like becomes about Jocelyn, because I think that's a really easy thing to say, but it actually shortchanges how much needs to change on the show to like just compare it to like one other character in her age range.
Yeah. And it just, especially when when Sydney was here and they made it so like an integral part of her character that that she cared about her dad was gone. She was
Yep.
angry because her dad was gone, that
Right.
he was kidnapped, that he had to do something, and that he was harmed by Cyrus Renault. And that's the
Mm-hmm.
reason why she hates Cyrus Renault, is because of her dad. And to have it just be dropped and forgotten is a total mismanagement of her character.
Yep.
It's amazing. And they need to bring it back. They need to rectify it. They need to have a, like, even if they don't bring him back, she could be having his picture in her wallet, being like, Dad, I miss you. I don't know what's going on, but I could really use you in my life. This is what I'm dealing with.
Yep.
I'm feeling conflicted because Curtis has been so good to me, but I need you. I wish you were here. All of those conversations could have been had.
And it could be a conversation she has with Portia. It could be a
Yeah,
conversation she had like the to your point, like all of these are conversations she could be having
right.
that are a part of the process of her grieving and figuring it out. Yeah.
So,
I also think it's a mistake not to have her going back to school or doing things that again like reestablish her as a very empowered, independent character. Like, of course she's gonna grieve, and we should see her grieve in the moments. We should see her. I don't know if anybody watched Jane the Virgin. Um, but there was like I'm not even gonna I don't want to spoil it even though it's been years, but like the character like goes through grief, and we did get a time jump through it, but we see her like stepping into something and then it becoming overwhelming because she's still grieving, and then the people around her support her and then she's able to get through it. That's the kind of stuff I want to see for Trina, that it's like she's still living her life, she still is moving forward, but she has those moments where she needs the people around her to support her to get through those things that she's still living. And that's not what we're getting. And it's really unfortunate. And I think that that is really more about them not knowing what to do and hinging her character on Spencer than it is on any other thing that's happening on the show. So, anyway, we talked a lot. We've gone long this episode.
Yeah.
Do you have any other hot takes?
Oh, hold on. Let me see. I did. I might have already said it though. Let's see. John Christina,
While
shout
you're
out to
looking,
Maria
I do have
Sana.
one,
Uh huh.
which was Maxie saying, "Any man you have to plot to get back is not a man you can keep."
Ooh, that's true.
Tell it to her sister.
Shout out to the new manager at the Bobbies.
She
She
is
is
gorgeous.
gorgeous. Yes.
My goodness. I said, is this the new face of this?
Right?
That I wanted to be Trina, to be clear, but I was like, is this girl gonna be friends with Trina? Like, she's gorgeous.
Yeah, definitely. Put
Yeah.
her in the mix. Have one of
Yeah.
them young men have a crush on her.
Right. You got too many beautiful women who are, or young women, young men, whoever.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
Listen.
Incorporate her into this story.
Absolutely. Absolutely.
Yes.
Well, next week we have 4 days because Monday is the eclipse, and apparently ABC is like, we're on eclipse watch.
For real? I thought
Yes.
people were just pre guessing that that was going to be an issue. They really talked about, like, we're going to do it all day.
Yeah.
Oh God.
So that's
I mean,
says,
I love science and all that, but
mhm, that's a mess to me personally.
and it's only
Um,
going to be visible on our time between 10:45 and 11:45, and that's not when GH comes on here. So why are what's going on?
oh yeah. Yeah, I don't know.
I'm sorry.
I don't know. But next week previews Tuesday. Nina and Drew get into a heated argument. Carly finds Jagger in trouble. Leave him there. Um, S- she didn't leave him there. That was my editorial. Sorry. Sunny is Sunny is furious with Jason. Willow and Michael discuss her career. Christina is disturbed by Ava's behavior. Let's get back to it. Let's figure out what
We should
Ava's
have
got going
talked
on.
about yeah, that's oof.
Well, that was last week. We didn't get much Ava. We didn't get Ava this week, I don't think.
Well, they were talking about it. Michael and no, Dante and Christina were talking
Yeah.
about Ava. They were like, "That what's going on with that?" I don't know.
Yeah. Wednesday, Sunny and Jason have a tense meeting. Oh, also, if you follow us on Instagram, we posted like there's a preview scene that ABC drops every week. So we posted that commercial free for you. So it gets taken down. So Drew and Nina come to a surprising agreement. Carly
Round chicken
begin
round round.
ugh. Carly begins to see a different side to Jagger. Yikes.
Ew.
Curtis achieves another milestone. Ava searches for something in Sunny's house. Thursday,
She bugging him?
maybe. Thursday. Anna asks Valentine for help. Mm.
Evil
Alexis
teen, evil teen, evil teen.
Alexis receives news about her appeal. Carter suggests a business proposition to Drew. Chase has a surprise for Brooklyn. Nina gets the wrong idea. When does she not? Friday. Jason wants to give something to Carly. Things do not go well for Lucy and the home and heart deception segment. Tracy has a heart to heart with Brooklyn. Sasha finds joy in working in the stables with Cody. Sorry. Gregory encourages Alexis. I was like, I gotta keep going for people to think something's wrong with the video and slash audio because I
The
cannot
side
believe
eye.
They got
side
my
eye.
girl still in the stables. This is this is too much.
Chilling in the stables.
Mm-mm. Well, thank you for joining us for a longer episode today, actually. Make sure to like, subscribe, share, comment, tell everybody about us. You can tell everybody, you can tell everybody, in the words of I Love Black. We will see you next week. Bye.
Bye.